All righty, everybody. Welcome back to yet another episode of your favorite podcast out there, the Burn It Down podcast. Where were we? Texas edition. Texas edition. I am your host, Josh Altus, aka Ricky Allen Jr. With me is my friend Ross the Boss Tatum. Ross, we need a cool nickname for you. I know we got the boss, but we need a character name for you.
I actually looked that up this weekend, and one that popped out was Billy Ray Bans. I actually didn't
Okay.
hate it. I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
We'll consider the persona change. We'll consider it.
If any of our loyal listeners slash viewers out there have any suggestions on what Mr. Ross's alter ego should be, let us know. Put it in the description below. And who
Nothing too
knows? Maybe you can
gross.
come on and maybe you can be a guest on the show if you're the winner or something. We'll do something fun. So, Ross, you've been busy recently. How's everything going? How's life?
Life's good. I thought the second baby would be the hard one, but the first baby's still the issue. So had some growing
Okay.
pains today. We'll get into that some other day, but not right now. But yeah, everything's been good. How was your weekend? I thought it was a pretty enjoyable race and weekend myself, but what did you
Yeah,
think
yeah, it
about
was
this weekend?
fun. I'm a Texas Motor Speedway fan. I'm probably a little bit of an outlier. I think maybe why I like it so much is it's just not quite your traditional oval that we see at your Las Vegas, your Kansas. Obviously, I think Charlotte's a great race, but I don't know, it's something different. I know a lot of people miss the old configuration, but uh, I don't know. I think the new one just presents certain challenges. I know a lot of the drivers don't like it either. We had all three series back in action this weekend, starting with the Craftsman Trucks on a nice Friday night race, Ross. I don't know. It just hits differently for me, man. You work all week, you come home, spend some time with the family, get some dinner, and then kick back. And then we got trucking action on Friday night. So, um, Joey Logano was in the booth. Thank the Lord that he could help carry that between Miss Jamie Little and Michael Waltrip. It's yeah, that's I don't know. I won't go too much into that, but
That's a
yeah,
booth made in hell. Yes,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. It definitely is. But Joey did a good job kind of carrying that. So I thought the race was pretty good overall, though. It was pretty exciting. It was a lot of aero, a lot of draft, kind of side drafting. Carson Hocevar, man. I still don't like him. I'm gonna put it on record, but he is entertaining. I will give him that much. So he rode the Dente. He kept all the momentum he had at Talladega from the Cup Series and brought it right into Friday night. Ross, I know we were listening to his radio a little bit. Kid's just a jerk, though, man. Like, golly, he was dogging his crew guys. What'd you think about the race overall and just kind of Carson's attitude?
Yeah, honestly, I thought the race was probably my favorite of the weekend. Trucks, they could spread out a little bit, but they were able to make runs. They were able to kind of use different lanes to get out of that dirty air. But yeah, they put on a great show. I thought Carson did what he had to do at the end of that race and just beat Gio there on the last restart. I mean,
Mhm.
and shout out to Gio, man. Great race by him. He hasn't really shown a lot of speed at mile and a half, but he showed a lot this week. Outran Caden, in my opinion. Now, I know this finish didn't point that out because I think he ended up like 14th or something,
Mhm.
but great job by him. And then, Caden was probably the third best truck, but the stats will tell you that Spire finished 1-2, but I think Tricon was still the better trucks. It was just Cup guys versus truck guys there at the end, and that was the difference.
Yep, I agree to that, and, I know we can't give him too much praise. We'll get into it because he definitely was a storyline this weekend in the Cup race, but, this was the first time and I know it was a truck race, so let's not get ahead of ourselves too much, but this was one of the first races that I felt like I was watching a little bit of the old Kyle Busch in terms of I know his truck wasn't real good, but he managed to fight. He smacked the wall early. I thought he was going to be in big trouble. Got out of the groove, and I know you and I were texting when we were watching that race, and just like, man, I don't expect someone of his experience and his caliber to make a silly mistake like that early, and it looked like it was going to be maybe fatal. But that team was able to fight back. They went a lap down, got back on the lead lap, and then he just rallied, man. I mean, he was probably what, 5th to 8th place truck maybe at best, and, managed to at least give himself a shot. He really, got the assist with Carson Hocevar. You know, Carson was trying his hardest to clear those guys up front, and Kyle gave him a little extra push to send them on through. So, probably the biggest moment obviously was during the long green flag run, which I get, man. It's so hard to break it down from like a viewer versus like putting myself in the driver's seat because I would probably react something similarly. Like if I was in that situation, I would hope that I would be a little nicer, but he's by far and away got the best truck, and then his crew just absolutely they messed up once under I think it was a yellow flag stop. He lost some spots, but then like it was like a 23-second stop or 24-second stop. I mean, it was way, way, way longer than it should have been, and Lane Riggs ended up leaping him during that stint, and I thought that was over for him except for that caution. But he comes on the radio and goes, "You guys suck." Like he was just, and he's like, "Don't even try to blame it on me. Like I didn't have the wheel wrong. I was even further left this time." But what'd you think of some of his comments?
Yeah, it's kinda ridiculous. I mean, those guys, what did his Jackman do? His Jackman just won his 3rd straight race. I mean, he's one of the top
Mhm.
Xfinity or ORAPs guys in the garage. He's one of the top truck guys in the garage on the pit crew side, that is. So it's kinda disappointing that, Carson's just ragging on them like these guys ain't done nothing, man. These are cup winners. These are, ORAP winners. They're truck winners. They're a good crew. I mean, I would say he probably has one of the best crews in the trucks when he does run them. Because let's be honest, they're just Hendrick guys. So, yeah, that's a little disappointing. And like you said, he just comes across as a jerk, man. If things aren't going his way, it's just not. He just blows up. And I was. It was almost interesting that uh, Kyle Busch kind of drove like the old Kyle Busch this weekend. It was almost like someone got in his ear, and it kind of reminded me of Carson Hocevar a little bit. It was almost like they were competing with each other, who could be the biggest jerk this weekend.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, I mean, but he gets it done, when he needs to, but daggone, it was just like, do you really have to be that much of a jerk to your guys who are getting you in the good spots that you're in?
Yeah, I'm with you, and even before that, he was just making some comments about, like, this is too easy, and, he made a comment about, he could have passed, I think was it Ben Rhodes who won the 1st stage? I think it was. He made a comment about, I could have passed him, but I'm not gonna show him how I'm gonna pass him for later on, and, like, I don't know, it's just the arrogance, man. It's like, man, I get you're a cup driver now and you just won your 1st cup race, but at the same time, it's Talladega, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just have a little bit of humility.
I mean, it's quick how things change for him. I don't know. I think I told you already, but to me, it just reminds me of a kid who plays Xbox on NASCAR Thunder 2006. And if he's not winning the race, he just hits reset. Because there
Yeah.
was a time with about 23 to go, he came across the radio and he said, I think I have a right rear going down. And any
Mhm.
of us who've seen hosts of our race know exactly what that means. It means he's about
Yep.
to spin it on purpose to bring out a
Yep.
caution. And
Yep.
that caution fell. And then all of a sudden he got keyed up. He said, oh, I'm not pitting. There ain't no way. So
Yeah,
everything was
because the
fine.
'cause the crew guys were wanting to bring him in, because they were talking about it was they thought it was a loose wheel, and the crew chief's like, "Well, we can go ahead and bring you in, to tighten that up," and, yeah, he's like, "Heck no, I'm not coming in," so,
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
immaturity. And, Carson has continuously been the only guy that'll do that, that'll bring out cautions on purpose and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So as a fan, that's pretty frustrating for me. Like you said, I don't understand how people like him. It just don't make sense to me. He's just not a likable dude. He came from a rich family. He's not some like guy who worked his way up, man. He had a ton of money. And he's good, I'll give him that, but
Yeah.
man, it is frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just something that's new and is maybe brought a little spice back into the NASCAR world or what, and I guess people are just latching on to any controversial character they can since, Kyle Busch is nothing, Denny's kinda toned it down a little bit. So, yeah, I know we need those characters, but man, it feels like we're grasping at straws a little bit here. Couple other notable finishes, man. Parker Kligerman, P11 in the Ram truck. Parker's done a really, really good job. He doesn't get to race full time anymore. I think he made that decision to step away from that 48 car a couple years ago in ORAPs, but he just continues to impress me whenever he gets in anything. He just seems like he does a good job with what equipment he's got. And, you already talked about Gio, his race, and Caden Honeycutt, man, he's gonna get one soon. He's in that great equipment for Tricon, and obviously we know what Corey Heim did in that truck last year, so I think it's just a matter of time for Honeycutt, but he's impressed me, and Lane Riggs, man, Lane drove through the whole field, felt like
Oh, yeah.
a couple of times. So yeah, we got some pretty good talented guys up in the truck series right now, and, it's a fun series to watch right now.
Now, was it surprising to you that Lane didn't just come up there and take the lead there at the end? Because I thought he was just gonna blow past them all. He seemed to have the best truck all night.
Yeah, and it seemed like the tire differential didn't matter that much because I think Carson was actually one that not short pitted, but was just one of the first in that cycle to pit, and some of those other guys had some newer tires, so, I was a little surprised that the tires didn't really seem that big of a deal at the end. I guess just because the track was so gripped up and being at nighttime and the draft and everything, but, yeah, I was a little surprised Lane didn't put up a little bit more of a fight there at the end, but, still P6, good result for him, so.
Yep, and, I wanna say that's the 4th Cup winner to win truck race in 7 races. Not great,
Yeah,
not great.
I don't think they've had have they had a truck regular win this year? I thought I
Let
saw
me
a
look
stat.
right now,
Yeah,
but I think you're right.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, I think I saw a stat that
okay,
because you're
uh,
if you except for Lane Riggs. Yeah, he won at,
Chandler Smith won Daytona, Lane Riggs won
okay,
St. Petersburg. Otherwise, it's been Kyle Busch, Corey Heim, Christopher Bell, and Carson Hocevar.
okay,
And
yep,
obviously, we're about to talk about it, but it's kinda leading into the ORAP series, same kinda deal there. It's,
yep.
kinda hard to make names when we're letting the Cup guys win a lot of these races, so
Yep.
I don't know.
That was Friday night, obviously, so that was good entertainment. We transitioned to Saturday afternoon. We had ORAPs. I'm starting to get the hang of that a little bit, Ross. It's
Not
still
me.
feels still feels a little weird, but I'm starting to remember it a little bit more. So, ORAPs action at Texas Motor Speedway. Pretty good race overall. I had a wedding with our good friend Rob Sherwood that I had to attend, and I kinda missed a little bit of the second half, but, man, one of the most exciting moments I think everyone was talking about was it, Larson, Zillage, and, Brent Cruz 3 wide coming off 3-4. I mean, that was unbelievable, man. All 3 of them were at a four-wheel slide, and I thought all 3 of them were wrecking, and they all saved it, and Larson kinda shot the gap and squeaked through there, and I think he pretty much just led the entire rest of the race after that, but I thought, it was pretty entertaining overall. What'd you make of that?
Yeah, absolutely. The cars were wiggly like hell. I mean, they were all over the track. It was really cool watching these guys have to drive those cars. I remember there was one camera angle. It was like Harrison Burton and someone else. They were side by side, and you could just
Mhm.
see Harrison's car wiggling back and forth because they were so loose. Um, but at the end of the day, Larson gets out front, and once he gets out front, he's hard to beat.
Yep.
He's got that same pit crew that Hocevar was using on Friday night, and they kept him out front, so they must not be too bad. So
Yeah.
yeah, just JRM kind of day. Those mile and a halfs are JRMs, and I don't know if anybody's going to compete with them anytime soon unless Gibbs gets it together. But yeah, I mean, I thought the race was good, but once Larson's out in front, it's over.
Yeah. Another, strong result for Justin Allgaier. He accumulates 54 points on the day and extends his points lead to a whopping 121 points over Sheldon Creed. We've talked about it so much, no one's touching Justin this year. I know we've talked about Sheldon maybe being a contender or a Corey day once the chase starts, but I feel like, barring something just catastrophic happening, you can go ahead and probably pencil Allgaier in as your regular season champion. And then, yeah, as long as he, gets a decent start to the chase, I mean, it's gonna be hard to catch him, man. And I do, think that. Oh, one thing I did want to ask you about What'd you think about that whole deal? I mean, we're 20 laps in. Granted, after we get through all the multiple wrecks, I mean, it felt like we couldn't get the race started because everyone kept wrecking in the first 25 laps. What'd you think of the little restart games between Larson and Allgaier? I mean, they're dooring each other under caution. I guess Larson was saying that Allgaier was like running him up in the junk and not letting him clean his tires or something. But to me, it looked like Larson was pinching him down and like I mean, they were warming their tires up and, like, physically, like, dooring each other. I thought that was I hadn't seen anything like that before.
Yeah, I mean, they doored each other hard enough that Justin had marks on the side of his car, and I think
Uh-huh.
Larson did too. Yeah, that was interesting. I didn't feel like Justin was pushing him too far up the track, but
Yeah.
evidently Larson felt like he was. And
Yeah.
you don't really see Larson kind of have attitude like that, so that was pretty interesting. And I don't know, I've kind of gotten this feeling before that they don't really see eye to eye very well. I
It
don't
does
know.
feel
Do
like
you
a
have
little bit
that
of a
same
r
feeling?
yeah, it feels like a little rivalry between the 2, and I don't know why. I mean, I don't know if Justin feels like, you're not gonna just come d like, I'm the man here, like, you're not gonna just come down to my series and kick our butts or and then I guess Larson maybe feels like I am gonna do that because 'cause I'm that guy. So I don't know. It is an interesting dynamic though. They've raced each other really hard, even going back into some races last year, and I think Larson got into him at, like, Pocono or something, if I remember
Wasn't
correctly.
Was Indy the track that Larson took Allgaier out of? Remember when he got loose on the inside making the pass for the lead? Was it Allgaier that he did that to?
For this race? Or
Last year,
oh,
Indianapolis last year. I could have sworn they were racing for the win,
I'll have to
and
go back
Larson
and
got
look.
loose.
I thought it was Pocono that
It
he
might have
took
been
him out.
Pocono, yeah, it might
Yeah.
have been, but I just don't think they get along very well, or
Yeah.
at least on the
Which is
racetrack.
Which is interesting because I know Allgaier was the one that subbed in for Larson at the 600 last year. So yeah, I don't know. There's something definitely a little weird there. I feel like it's
Yeah.
definitely not. I thought they were messing with each other at first. When I very first saw it, I thought they were just kind of playing games with each other, kind of, and I'm like, huh. I was like, I can see a little bump, but then it was like actually like they were hitting pretty hard, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're not playing here. So
Yeah, super weird. Interesting, for sure.
Uh, another storyline, I don't think we saw this quite as much in the ORAPs race, but going back to the Truck Series race, I know it was a topic that you brought up. Man, that grass is absolutely brutal in the infield at Texas. I know the truck race specifically, I think there's 2 different instances where guys hit it and just absolutely, like, ripped the whole front clip off. Man, I know it costs money, but, like, when are we gonna get to the point just putting turf down on all these tracks. I mean, Charlotte made the investment, and how many race cars has it saved since they've done that? I mean, I think they mention it almost every time we go to Charlotte. Oh, if this was Texas, or oh, if this was Atlanta, or something like that. But man, I hate seeing race cars getting completely torn up just because of the grass.
Yeah, the amount of cars that grass has ruined at Texas is unreal. I mean, the first one I really remember is the Dale Earnhardt Jr. in, like, 2014,
Oh
2015, the
yeah,
National Guard
yep.
scheme. He was running really good, and he just cut through the grass and caught on fire and everything. Uh, if the tracks are gonna charge 135 fucking dollars a ticket, maybe we should have enough money to, put some, turf in there. I don't know, just my opinion.
You would think so. Yeah, it's I hate to see that. I mean, it's one thing if you wreck on the racetrack or hit the wall or something, but it's like that would be a nice avenue that you can abort. I think we'll get into that even with Christopher Bell. If that's Charlotte or turf or something, I think he can make that decision to just kind of hang a left and go through the grass. And instead, it's like kind of a lose lose situation. Like you either go get torn up in the grass or you try to save it on the racetrack, and still didn't end up well for him. So,
Yeah, I
um,
didn't I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a great point by you. I didn't think that, yeah, if he'd went through the grass, he'd been done ski either way. So yeah, great
yep.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get to that. A couple more notables in the ORAPs. Corey Day runs early. He was part of one of those early cautions, and I think he was just trying to run the top a little too early. And man, I don't know. Maybe it's different for me not being in the driver's seat, but from a viewer perspective, I mean, you got 200 laps. That's a long race, even for the ORAPs guys. And it's like, man, just you're guaranteed 2 yellows because of the stages, right? So, especially in the first stage, just take a little time and get strung out. I mean, he's got one of the fastest cars. I know track position is important, but we know how treacherous Texas can be, as we saw, and, I don't know, I feel like, even it happened to Taylor Gray. It wasn't Taylor's fault. I think it was, Sammy Smith that maybe forced the issue on that one. But Taylor got in trouble because 'cause they're 3 wide, and, Corey Day got up in the marbles or the dirty stuff and ends up losing it and wrecking, and it's like, man, you ruined your whole day before you even get started, and maybe that's just part of the rookie side to him, or, just the lack of experience so far, but, hopefully he can learn from that, and I don't know. I just to me, it feels like a common sense thing. Just fuel your car out, get going, and then, you can adjust.
Yeah, a lot of bad racecraft between, a lot of the ORAPs guys on Saturday. I mean, just like you said Taylor Gray and, Sammy Smith or Carson. I don't know who it was, but they, 3 wide turn 1 at Texas in a track
Mhm.
that's already treacherous. I don't know, it just don't make a lot of sense to me. What are you gaining there that you can't make up later, especially if you're in a JRM car? You should
Yeah.
be able to pass people later in the run. You shouldn't need to go
Mhm.
all out lap 1 like that. That was kinda ridiculous, but it does make it pretty interesting sometimes, although they did ruin my DraftKings lap 1, so
Yep.
I appreciate that, guys.
Yep. We've been singing his praises, at least I have, the last couple weeks, but man, Parker Retzloff again, man, P5 for Parker Retzloff. The dude is just consistent as can be. Um, if I can, I'm gonna start throwing top 10 bets down on Parker Retzloff because that's, at this point, it's almost guaranteed money if he can just stay out of trouble, and he's been doing a great job.
Yeah, and shout out to, Anthony Alfredo doing a great job also in the '96. That
Mhm.
whole organization, I think they basically took the Colleague, tier team from Colleague when, so they're working real close with RCR, but Retzloff is outrunning RCR most weeks, so
But yeah.
he's doing a great job. Alfredo's right there with, like, Austin Hill and Jesse Love, but yeah, Retzloff showing a lot of talent, and we should have seen it. I mean, this dude was winning poles with Jordan Anderson at Martinsville, so,
Yep.
I mean, he's definitely a talent.
I saw, I think it was one of those fan accounts, but someone said something like, if Jesse Love ends up, moving up or something to Cup, Parker Retzloff to the 2 makes a lot of sense, potentially
Yeah.
if RCR wants to get him in that stable. So, yeah, I think he'd be good, man. I think that'd be a good choice for that team.
I do wonder who RCR is thinking. Are they thinking Love or are they thinking Hill? Do either one of them wanna go up, you know? I am curious about that 'cause but
If it's me, I mean, we've seen both of them in a couple Cup cars now, but to me, I think you got more potential with Jesse Love. I don't know, Austin Hill, I feel like is kind of on the downswing a little bit, and I hate to say that because I mean, he's still fairly young, I think, but
well,
I
he's
don't know.
older than you think. I think he's 32, which is actually,
Okay.
kinda old,
Yeah.
not quite my age, but he's getting there.
Yeah, I don't know, I feel like I've seen Austin Hill more in the Cup car, and I haven't really been super impressed. Jesse Love, there's a lot of raw talent there that I think they could work on, and, I enjoy seeing some of that social media side with, Danny Stockman as crew chief, Downforce Danny. I didn't realize how big of a social media guy he was. I started following him over the last couple weeks, and you see him and Jesse Love. They look like they have a great relationship. They fish all the time together and always doing some kind of shenanigans at the track. So yeah, I think Jesse Love is a great talent, and that would be my pick if you're going to kind of move someone through the rankings there. Um, yeah, I don't know, maybe possible candidate for the 8 car. You never know.
And I have to find someone. I don't think it's gonna work with Kyle Busch. We'll have to see, though.
So let's go ahead and talk about Sunday. Chase Elliott, man, almost kind of feels like out of nowhere, but I didn't realize, but he actually did lead the most laps, in that race yesterday. Gets his 2nd win of the season. I did not have Chase Elliott carrying the Hendrick torch this year on my bingo card. But 2nd win of the season, man, he's pretty sneaky, honestly, with this format. I think it was last year he either led the points for a long time or was up there, and up until, like, I think it was up until, like, Sonoma or something, hadn't had a finish, like, outside the top 20 or something, at the time, so he's kinda sneaky consistent, which is what you need to be in this, format, but Chase Elliott wins, had a little bit of chaos, but I think it was kind of what we expected a little bit in terms of the track position and, being really hard to pass. What'd you think overall, Ross?
Overall, the race was fine. I mean, it wasn't great. People couldn't pass, like just like you called out last week. You said people weren't going to be able to pass. They were not able to pass. We saw that one run where Corey Haim had what 30 lap older tires and ran away by like three
Golly, yeah.
seconds.
What in the
I
world?
mean, it's just yeah, it's just insane. But I as a better, I need to do a better job on the betcast studying this because I should have seen this coming from a mile away because we've talked about this before with Darlington, but this tires ran 7 times and all
Mhm.
the winners are either Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, or Chase Elliott. And
Yep.
Chase Elliott's finished second in 3 of those races or 2 of those races. And those guys finished first, second, and third, and were clearly the fourth actually, and were clearly the dominant cars at the end. And so for whatever reason, Gustafson and Chase Elliott have this tire figured out. Denny and Chris Gale have this tire figured out, and obviously Tyler has this tire figured out, and you can tell it. And I thought the race was fine. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it was anything special?
I mean, nothing extraordinary, but it was still, I guess it was more entertaining than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, we both said coming into the weekend how much of a wild card we felt like it was. I don't wanna flex too hard, but I did have Chase Elliott as a top 5, from the betcast, so I was happy about that. I guess I could have been a little bit more bold and tried to pick him as a winner, but, I was still a little bit scared of Chevrolet and the new noses, and, I still don't think this fixes it completely. I heard Jeff Gordon even make a comment where they asked him, do you guys feel better now, or if you feel like you're there, and he's like, no, like honestly, like we definitely still feel behind compared to the Toyotas. We've just been able to really execute, which has been really really important. And Chase ran a really good race. I will give it to him. I went back and watched some of it. I like going back to watch the race after you know what's happened at times because you can pay attention to different things. And Chase really did a good job, especially at the end of stage one, where some of those guys had stayed out and kind of got caught. Like Denny kind of got caught behind some guys, lost some trap position coming to the end of stage one, and Chase really just kind of pick and chose like his battles and where to go, and he was able to get through a good amount of those guys, and that way, once all those guys pitted, he was closer toward the front, and then he kind of just kept chipping away at it until he got in position to get in the lead, and then he just kind of ran away with it from there. So really good job, really great execution by the 9 team and Chase Elliott. Um, Carson Hocevar had a great race. He was one of my outrights, got the pole and, kind of drifted back a little bit. They kinda had a questionable pit strategy early in stage 1. I thought Harvick and, Boyer were gonna have a stroke about, they're like, "What are they doing? They're staying out so long," and, he just kinda ran right around that, 7th to 15th all day, but, I mean, still a good day by him. What other guys were you keeping an eye on there, Ross?
Well, I think the most interesting thing for me that race was that first run. Ryan Blaney started 31st and flew up through the field. I mean, he had to been close to the top 10. I want to say he was probably
13th,
close
I
to
think. Yep,
yeah,
something like
so he
that.
was flying, and you and I were checking lap times, and he was consistently running the same speed as Denny and
Yep.
Chase and all those guys. He was the fastest car on the track in traffic. And then they had that pit road mistake, or no, he actually stalled the car this time.
Yeah, multiple
Lost
times.
all yeah, lost all that position, and he just could not get back up through the field. It was so weird. I don't know how you have a car that dominant, and then all of a sudden it's nothing. To me, that was the most interesting thing of the whole race. I don't know why, but it was so uncharacteristic of him not to be able to get back up through the pack the rest of the race.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and you made that comment that it just seemed like at the beginning, the first 50% of the race was a lot more exciting. There felt like there was a lot more passing and, Chase Briscoe a couple times got hung up behind lap cars and, lost a ton of ground. You got super aero tight, and Denny passed him one time, Bell passed him another time. and it just seemed like for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the track changing or if it was more rubber that was getting laid down, but it seemed like it was a lot harder to pass as the race went on.
Yeah, Denny's alluded to this before on his podcast, but he calls it getting locked down. And I guess what he says is like after a certain point when all the rubber's on the track, there's no other lanes, there's like no more movement you can do. Becomes really hard to pass. Everybody's gripped up by then. And this
Interesting.
new tire does lay a lot of rubber down. You could tell the track was getting super black. So I don't know. I guess the track got locked down because they're at the early of the race. I think I texted. I said, "Oh shit, Blaney's gonna win." I missed this big time because
Yep.
I just, I don't know. I just didn't have any confidence in Penske, and the rest of the Penske guys kind of raced like crap. I mean, Logano, I don't know if ever got out of the 20s. So yeah, it was just normal Blaney day at first, and then it just turned into a normal Penske day at the end. So really weird.
Speaking of Logano, just oh my goodness, I it was so funny watching this back to back. So William Byron spun, saved it, did a great job. Which would if he came back up the track, man, that would have been brutal. I mean, he was in a really dangerous spot, and thank goodness no one hit him. But I don't know if you saw the onboard of Logano, but Logano did. I'll give him credit. His spotter was calling. He's like, car wrecking down the track, wrecking down the track. He told him to stay low at first, and at the last moment, you see where Byron came down, and Logano just cut it back, and I mean, barely, barely missed him. It was one of those where he comes on the radio and he's like, "Woo!" Like it was so close. And then I think it was that caution runs into Cole Custer on pit road and completely kills his car. Um, I don't know, to me, it looked like you had plenty of time to see what was going on. I know things are hectic on pit road and you're paying attention to multiple different things, but, that was a little weird seeing all the and there's multiple problems. I mean, I think Briscoe and Larson ran into each other. You had, Logano running into Custer, and I think there was one other incident. I mean, I don't really think of Texas as being like a tricky pit road necessarily. Did you feel like that was kinda out in the ordinary a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. It just seemed like maybe everybody was pitting at the same time for some reason. I don't know. Maybe more cars were on lead lap than normal in Texas, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot of mayhem on pit road. And I don't know, man. Logano needs to worry. He's 17th in points, man. He's trending
Did you
backwards.
did you see my tweet today to Jeff Gluck in
Well,
response?
yeah. Why? Yeah. Should we be surprised? Yeah, I was going to ask you on this podcast. I was like,
Yeah.
I was going to be a dumb question, but who's more washed? Is it Joey Logano and great cars, or is it Kyle Busch and shitty cars? Because I would
Yeah, we
say
we
Joey
started
Logano is
having
more
this
washed.
conversation a little bit last week, and for those that didn't see it, let me read the actual tweet here from Mr. Jeff Gluck. So Jeff Gluck says on Twitter or X, in points as they run, three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Joey Logano is currently below the Chase cut line. Pretty shocking, to be honest. I responded, is it that shocking though, Jeff? We're talking about the guy who averaged a P17 in his most recent championship season. This is not shocking to me. I'm sorry. Joey, we've talked about, he even voiced himself before the season started that he didn't have a problem with the old format. Of course you didn't have a problem because you wouldn't have 3 championships if it wasn't for that format. The win and in has been, his bread and butter. He runs mid to bad all season long. They managed to get, a win or two somehow from fuel strategy or just some sort of pit call by Paul Wolf normally. Um,
Nashville, remember that? Good
yeah,
God.
I mean, just completely just so I love that we don't have the win and you're in now, and he's in trouble, man. I think I said it a little bit last week. I'm gonna go ahead and say he doesn't make the chase this year. I think there's a lot of good guys around him that are just running consistently better, and yeah, I as long as we stay on this format, I think it's safe to say I don't think Joey Logano will ever win a championship again.
Yeah, I agree. And the only tracks he's been good at in this car are flat ovals, which Penske is just amazing at those, and then super speedways. And other than that, he really has nothing else. Now, I know he got that win last year at Texas, but as we saw Sunday, if you get out front and there isn't a lot of laps left, you can just drive away. So I don't put too much credit into that. But yeah, man, we're Joey needs to figure this car out because I feel like it's becoming it's going to be a problem for. I mean, Penske's got to figure this out because they have to have another driver that's as good as Blaney in these cars, or they're just gonna be way behind the 8 ball. Because Cindric's not gonna do it.
Yep.
Barry is awful. I don't know what happened to Barry this past
Yeah.
year. Ever since that win in Las Vegas, which
Yeah.
was, a lot of luck and stuff involved, but since then, man, he's just been terrible, and then Logano, man, he's running the 20s. If it's not New Hampshire or Phoenix or somewhere like that, he's in the 20s, 15s, 20s. I mean, it's just not good.
Yep. Another team, which hurts me to say, but I think we got to talk about it. What's going on with Kyle Larson and the 5 team right now, man? I mean, we are coming up. I think this weekend is officially the 1 year anniversary from the last time that he won a race, which is crazy to say. I think we're 34, 35 races since Kyle Larson's won a race. Man, you go to somewhere like Texas. I mean, he was one of my outrights that I felt really confident on. There's a couple tracks. Your Bristols, Texas, Darlington. There's even Homestead. There's a couple of go-to tracks that you kind of circle for Kyle Larson, going, okay, if we need a good run, we need one of these tracks. And I kind of felt that way about Texas because he's run really good there. I think I saw a stat where he had led every single race within like the last 5 years or something there, and qualifies. I think it was like 12th, and then that's pretty much just where he ran all day. He got shuffled back, and then just flat out wrecks. I think he did have some damage on pit road, which probably hindered him a little bit. But man, is it time to sound the the alarms for the 5 team?
Yeah, I mean, I want to, but then, he also led a bunch of laps at Bristol and he led a bunch of laps at Kansas, I think. But their cars are not where they need to be. And, it's Hendrick. They'll figure it out by the end of the year. I think by the end of the year, he'll still end up with like 4 or 5 wins for sure. I mean, hell, he might get one this weekend. I don't know. He's really good at
Watkins Glen.
Watkins Glen. So, I
Yeah.
mean, he's got a chance this weekend, but I don't know. I want to say he's struggling, but it could be something as simple as the tire. The tire may just not agree with him at these tracks right now. Like as much as it works for Chase Elliott, it might not work for Kyle Larson, and it just might be something to do with driving style. Maybe Kyle needs the car to be a little bit looser, and this tire is a lot more grip in it. So it could be something simple as that. I don't know. It's just they're definitely, last week felt like they were really close to a win, and right now I don't. It's weird. It flip flops every week because you just, like you said, you just don't see Kyle Larson run like that at Texas.
Yeah, it's definitely a little concerning to me as a 5 fan, but, at least with Chase winning, I know it's not quite the outright dominance. Even though he led the most laps, I think a part of it was strategy and, like I said, execution first and foremost versus outright speed. So at least you've got a teammate performing to me, and shout out to Alex Bowman too, man. That's 2 third-place finishes in a row for the 48 team, after Alex dealing with all the stuff he was. But to me, it feels like the 48 and the 9 are pretty much consistently outperforming the 24 and the 5, which I don't know if we've ever seen that. So,
Yeah, Byron, I mean, nowhere to be found all day besides that spin. I mean, he did get back up to 8th, which was really
yep.
good, but I mean, he was just kind of missing in action all day. Like you said, Larson didn't really get up above 9th or 10th all race. Super weird. And then, I think Bowman did use a little strategy there at the end, but it was good to see him finish 3rd. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's not the Hendrick you're expecting to see. And and the other thing that I will point out is, if 3 of the Gibbs cars didn't wreck or 2 of the Gibbs cars wreck, those guys don't even finish as good as they do because Ty Gibbs was super fast, Christopher Bell was super fast. So I don't know. It's just they're definitely nowhere as close as JGR. I mean, they're still ways away from them. But like you said, Chase got track position, and that the rest was history. That's all you need sometimes in these cars.
Yeah. Well, speaking of JGR, we touched on it, but man, just so unlucky for Christopher Bell. I feel like he's been on the receiving end of some really bad luck the last couple weeks, between Kansas, Dega, and now this week. It's really 3 weeks in a row that they had really good runs going and just nothing to show for. Just barely gets clipped by the spending Todd Gilliland, and Man, he even said it in his interview, another couple feet and he missed him. So that's tough for Christopher, but hey, they've got speed. So, sometimes as much as it sucks, having these results, at least you can hang your hat on that, hey, we've got speed, we're fast every weekend, and eventually we're gonna start putting some races together. I'm already starting to think about Charlotte a little bit just because I'm going there in the next couple weeks, and I don't know why, but the 20 car has been on my mind for that race. I know they won a rain shortened race there a couple years ago. But yeah, Seabell, that feels like the perfect race weekend to me for him to kinda turn it around, so, um,
Now, does anyone
and
have as bad a can you think of anyone that has as bad a luck as Christopher Bell does?
just outright luck, probably not.
I
I mean, I'd
mean, you
say
just think
Chase
about
Briscoe some, but Chase puts himself in those situations more times than not.
I think
Ryan
about
Blaney, I guess, on pit road sometimes, but
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like, I think about Michigan a couple years ago when Kyle Busch just overdrove it in the corner, took him out when he had a dominant car. I mean, there's just so many times where just such silly things happen to him. Gateway a couple years ago, didn't he run it? No, he blew up with like 5 to go
That's
leading.
right, yep, I
I
do
mean,
remember that.
just like
That's
stuff
when
like that.
Cindric won. Yep,
Yeah, I
yep,
mean, he's got incredibly bad luck. I don't know what it is. I hope it turns around for him because I think Christopher Bell's a likable guy. So
mhm,
yeah, yeah. But like you said, he's got the most important thing, which is fast cars and a super fast pit crew. He'll start
yep,
rattling them off soon. I'd say he
yeah,
has a good chance this weekend. I'll be honest. He did finish
mhm.
second last year at Watkins Glen, and he was second in speed rankings last year. So he's gonna be. He's. I think he'll be a contender this week, and obviously at Charlotte too, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about 2 pretty big topics. I call it our beef segment here. I think we've got 2 separate ones. One of them maybe not as big as the other, but Ryan Preece versus Ty Gibbs. Ryan Preece went absolutely ballistic on the radio. Um, I watched the in car. I didn't see anything too crazy. I mean, Ty drove it off in there, but to me, it's they're racing. Clearly, Priest did not like whatever the heck he did. To me, like I said, it looked like Ty just drove it in deep and got to his inside and maybe forced him up the track a little bit. He didn't physically touch him. I don't know if it was the air or what, but Priest was just like, "That's it." Like, when I get back to him, that's it. And sure enough, he gets back to him and just flat out wrecks him. What'd you think of that little duel?
Man, I hate to say I'm on Ty Gibbs' side, but I am. I felt like it was just a huge overreaction. You're racing into turn one. He should have been mad at Ross Chastain down there. I mean, Chastain cut them all off with that air move. I mean, I don't know. I just overreaction by Ryan Preece. You know, he talks a lot of shit on the radio. He usually don't do anything about it, but this week he decided he was just going to take him out. Sometimes I
Yeah.
think these guys do things to certain drivers because they think it'll make them more likable or more
Yeah.
popular, and
It didn't
that
work
was
for
kind
you, and
of
you're the biggest Ty Gibbs hater out there.
I know. I don't feel bad for him or nothing, but like I mean, it's just racing. I mean, I understand getting frustrated, but at the same time, you can't just go down there and wreck them. And it'll lead into our next thing. But if this guy doesn't get a penalty, but the next guy does get a penalty, I'm going to
Yeah.
see a lot of issues with that.
Yep. Well, that next issue that you're referring to, possibly one of the biggest storylines coming from this race is Kyle Busch versus John Hunter Nemechek. Man, if you would have said that a couple years ago, we would have been like, "What are you talking about?" I saw someone else say, Kyle Busch went from beefing with Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin to Riley Herbst and John Hunter Nemechek. I'm like, how the mighty have fallen, but I'll be the first one to say I'm not a big John Hunter fan. I don't know what it is. He just kind of rubs me wrong. But he didn't do anything wrong. He was running his own race. He was running a good race. He was P12. Yes, he was down the track just a little bit, but I mean, you can run wherever you want. I mean, we see guys side draft each other all the time and different things. And apparently, Kyle is mad at him because he didn't, he wasn't another 2 feet closer to the wall or something, and I mean, to me, Kyle just completely turned himself across John Hunter and then just goes down to 3 and 4, coming to the white flag, mind you, and I don't know, maybe the contact was significant enough where he would have lost those spots anyway. I don't know if something was broke at that point or not, but if it wasn't then, he goes into 3 and 4 and just takes a hard right and just absolutely doors the living shit out of John Hunter Nemechek. John Hunter flies up the track and kills the wall. Kyle's broke now, loses another 10 spots. So, and man, it felt like it was finally a turnaround weekend for Kyle Busch. He had talked all week about, he had apparently talked in the shop with the RCR guys about how he was all in and he appreciated all their efforts. Andy Street, which I'm a huge fan of Andy Street, by the way. I don't have a lot of positive things to say about RCR, but that is one thing I will not tolerate is any Andy Street slander because he's good people. I'm glad to see him get an opportunity like that, and he's a great leader. And they qualified really good. They ran top 10 all day, and then just completely unravels. It almost reminds me, Ross, if you remember that Indy race, was it a couple years
Mm,
ago where he was
mhm.
running P5, P6, and then he tried to drive it in deep on somebody. I think it was on Denny or something to get one more spot and then just completely wrecks. I mean, it's like he loses his mind. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, you're finally getting a little bit of positive momentum and you just you take one step forward and four steps back now.
Yeah, that Indy race that you brought up was the exact place where I put the turning point of him being, like,
His fall.
good. Yeah,
Yep,
I mean, that was the race, so, that took him out of that chase spot, basically, and he
yep,
just never recovered from there. He hadn't ran good since. And, yeah, he was running top 5 for the whole first part of the race, whether it's track position or speed, I don't know, but he was up there, and that was good. That was good for NASCAR, it was good for him. And then, like you said, he just loses his fucking mind for no reason. There's no reason to not just take that 10th, 11th, 12th place car you have and finish there. Instead, you're going out of here 20th. You and Austin are
mhm,
27th and 28th in points. Like, what are you doing, dude? Just I don't know. It's like I said, it's like almost like someone got in his ear this week and said, "I want you to be old Kyle Busch." But
yeah,
you can't just turn that on and off. You can't just decide you're going to be a dickhead and race people like that. And, I didn't see anything that John Hunter did wrong. I mean, he did come off the corner a little bit low, but it wasn't like he was trying to side draft him or nothing. I just think he
yeah.
came off the corner low.
Yeah, I agree, and I mean that was obviously the biggest turning point. But he was bitching on the radio about Carson Hocevar, when he was trying to pass Carson. And trust me, like we've talked about, I'm not a huge Carson fan, but I don't think Carson did anything wrong either. I mean, he drove it in and was on his outside, and Kyle was in the process of passing him, and I guess he was just mad that he wasn't laying over for him or something, and that he was trying to race him back. And he's like, that's why he's a dickhead and an asshole, and like they just came from Friday night where they're high-fiving and hugging each other, and it's one big happy family finishing P1 and P2. And, he talked about that they're even now because I guess Carson helped him at Atlanta, and now Kyle returned the favor, and you go from buddies to just enemies like that. So, did you hear the radio between him and Derek Nealon as well?
It's funny you mentioned that because I was getting ready to say Kyle Busch needs a new spotter
Yeah.
because they do not jive well.
Nope.
Derek says shit that just pisses Kyle off all race long. I've listened to their radio a lot this year because I've been just curious. I always like
Yeah.
a good Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch radio. Those guys are the best on it. And they don't jive, man. He hates any information Derek gives him.
Yeah.
Just get a new spotter, dude. I hope this goes viral because I want Kyle to see it and just say, I need a new spotter. But yeah, that whole, it's like, put some ice on your crotch and do something. It's like,
Yeah.
what? I'm just
Crazy, man.
like,
He said something, or Derek said something along the lines of, "Man, we haven't run in the top 10 for 3 years now," which I, probably don't put it like that.
yeah.
You could have probably just said, "Hey, man, we're having a really good day, like, let's stay locked in, you're doing a great job," but, like, just be the cheerleader, man, or, brown
Mhm.
nose him a little bit, whatever you gotta do, right? And so I can understand from Kyle, like, if you tell Kyle Busch, "Hey, man, this is the first time in the you've been in the top 10 for 3 years, like, that's probably not gonna go over well." And, he said something about, "We need to take care of it and make sure we finish here," or something. And Kyle goes, "Alright, thank you, psych major." And, put like you said, put some ice down your crotch or something like that. I mean, just yeah, it was good entertainment and good clips for social media. But
And
yeah,
maybe I'm wrong, but I think Kyle's one of those guys that just wants the information and nothing else. I don't think he
yeah,
wants to be talked up. I don't think he needs any cheerleading. Let
yep,
him do his thing and just
yeah,
shut the fuck up. And it's
Yeah.
like Derek just wants to get all involved, and sometimes you'll hear it between him and last week, him and Pullman were going back and forth, and, uh, Pullman was like, "Why are we not racing up through the pack?" And Derek's like, "Well, I just don't think there was any room for us to go up through there and race up through there." And it was just like, "Dude, just let Kyle drive. I mean, just stay out of it. Just
Yeah.
let him race," I don't know. It's just,
You
he
know
needs a
how
new
I
one.
feel about spotters already. You know how I feel about
Mhm.
spotters to begin with, so
Yep. Same.
they're
I
all
feel the same
they
way.
spot for a reason, right? They
Mhm.
spot for a reason, I'll say that. So,
And
uh,
there's some good ones. Like I think TJ Majors is really good about giving information. I think some other guys are really good about it. But some of these guys, man, they're just so full of themselves. And
but yeah,
I think
it's
Derek, I
crazy.
think Derek lies in that category. He thinks he's bringing a lot to the table. You don't need to bring a lot to the table for Kyle Busch. You just
Well,
don't.
he's good for and because I know a lot of these spotters do crossover races with trucks and ORAPs, and, like, those guys, they need that kinda information, and they need the coaching, but once you get to Sunday, man, like, you shouldn't have to coach or, depending on your driver, if they like cheerleading or whatever, but, like, I'm with you. I think once you get to Sunday, like, man, just give me the information and let me do my thing. Like, I don't need you being my coach or cheering me on or, whatever, so
Yeah, I mean, what do you think they're doing? Just in there lollygagging? I mean, they're
yeah,
trying their guts out. You don't need to tell me to try harder because that's
that's
just gonna
right.
make it worse.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So, yeah, that should be interesting. Do you think he receives any kind of penalty or fine from NASCAR?
Man, I hope not. Just because it's NASCAR. I mean, let's just, hopefully this new direction of NASCAR, we're not going to try to get too involved. Now, if it's egregious, like right rearing someone, then
Yeah,
penalize it. But I mean, he did just kind of drive into his door and send him up the track. And it was a pretty hard hit. I will say that he did door the shit out of him. But if you're going to penalize Kyle, then you got to penalize Priest, in my opinion. Same kind of thing. Retaliation for literally nothing, just racing. So
yeah.
yeah, if you could do one, you gotta do the other.
I feel like it gets a little sticky if you start nitpicking. So I think best case scenarios you kind of just let it go, both scenarios. But yeah, I think it starts getting a little nitpicky at that point. Like maybe if you're gonna do anything, maybe just monetary.
Yeah, yeah.
Possibly some points maybe, but I don't know. I think you're getting into a slippery slope when you start nitpicking like that. So, well, as we already mentioned, Chase Elliott wins second win of the season for him and the 9 team. Tyler Reddick, another really strong day, continuing. These guys are not making a whole lot of ground on him in the standings right now. So, yeah, I don't see him giving that. He's still 109 points over Denny. So Chase is up to third now, 117. So yeah, I think at this point it'll be fun to see who can maybe get to second, second and third. Yeah, I don't see Reddick losing that versus unless something catastrophic
No.
happens. So
No, I mean, at this point, they're just so consistent. 2311 has speed. I mean, Riley Herbst ran top 10 all all
yeah,
race
yeah, what a
long.
great
Corey
run.
Haim led laps. Yeah, I
Yep,
mean, Bubba was fast. Bubba came from last to top 10. So they got speed. I don't see that going anywhere. Now, as a spoiler to my betcast, or to the betcast later this week, um, I would not pick Tyler Reddick for Watkins Glen. That has not been a good road course for
yep.
him. So we could
Hmm.
see some point movement, but it ain't gonna be enough. He'll still run top
Yeah,
10.
yeah, nothing crazy. Well, speaking of the betcast and picks, why don't we transition to go over our Texas picks and then go ahead and preview Watkins Glen?
Well, congratulations, Josh. You beat me with
What?
motherfucking Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who came in at a respectable 19th
No, no,
place, but
no. I didn't have Ricky this week. I had Mr. Busher. I had Ricky at Talladega,
oh, son of a bitch. Sorry. Yes,
but I
you
still
had
won either
Busher.
way. So
Yeah, 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 you won. He had 4th place or 5th place. Really good
yep,
run by Busher. We didn't mention him. Great
yeah.
run by the RFK guys. They all had speed, it seemed like,
And
just
again,
like
hey,
normal.
humble flex. Go watch our betcast. I picked Chris Busher and Chase Elliott for top fives this week. So
Yeah,
and
you did
Daniel
really
Flores for
well.
top 10. So
Yeah,
I didn't get my outrights, but hopefully you guys made a little bit of cash on some of those top five and top 10 bets. So
you did a lot better than me, so congratulations. Yeah,
hey,
you
as long
kicked
as
my
one
butt
of
this
us
week.
is right, then we give a reason for people to at least tune in, right? If we're both missing
Yeah.
it, then don't even watch. So
And I'll try to tweet my picks on, Sunday. Not that anybody checks my Twitter. I have
yeah,
68
yeah,
followers, but whatever.
we'll get there.
Um, but yeah, so that takes your lead to 5-3 you, so
Ooh,
congratulations. So I
thank
guess
you.
I will have the first pick for Watkins
Are
Glen.
you gonna take the low-hanging fruit, or are you gonna save him? That's the real
You know,
question.
I'm gonna save him because I just don't trust. And this is also gonna go in towards the best bet cast, but I'm a little worried about Trackhouse this weekend. If you don't have speed on the ovals, you're probably not gonna have a ton of speed, so it's really gonna be off to driver.
Yep.
Obviously, he's gonna be top 3. He'll be top
Mhm.
3, but do we think if the odds are plus 120 or 150 like they have been for him on road courses, are
Yeah.
we gonna take that? I don't know if I wanna take that.
Well, I've
Uh,
always said that Watkins Glen is probably the most equal road course out there.
yeah.
So, I mean, I think it was the one race last year, right, that he didn't win. Am I right in that statement?
Y
Maybe it was Coda.
yes, yep.
Maybe it was Coda. I can't remember.
Um, so I'll actually go with sort of low-hanging fruit, but this guy's finished 1st and 3rd there last 2 years. I'll go with Chris Buescher
Okay.
this
I
week.
like that.
Yep. Mm,
I like that. I will challenge you with AJ Allmendinger.
I like it. You know, as much hate as they got for running unaffiliated this year, they've done okay. They've been respectable. The 16 car more than the 10, but they both not been awful, awful. I mean, not like you'd think losing your affiliation with Chevy and RCR. So yeah, good pick, good pick. I like that.
Yeah, we'll see. I think you definitely have the edge with Busher there. A couple other guys I thought about were Chase Briscoe seems pretty quick on road courses as well. Ty
Mm.
Gibbs, although Ty Gibbs doesn't have the best record at Watkins Glen. So I thought about maybe those guys, but they're so fast, man. I can't waste a Toyota or a Gibbs car at road course. So
Yeah, I agree
yeah,
with that.
we'll roll with AJ, and maybe strategy happens or something. Or obviously, I don't wish anything on Busher because I like Busher, but yeah, I think that'll be a good one. I think you got a good chance of winning that one, but we'll see. I like AJ to be uh, fringe top five, probably anywhere from fifth to eighth, maybe for that race. So we'll see what
Hmm.
happens.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Probably 5th to 8th, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. Any other notable storylines we need to touch on for Texas, Ross?
Gosh, can't think of any. Yeah, just more of the same. It seemed like the same contenders week in week out. Now I think we definitely see who's going to be the contenders the rest of the season, unless
Yep.
Kyle Larson you can get it together. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm starting to wonder if William Byron's going to win a race this year. I'll be honest.
I don't know. We'll have to see. What I mean, Williams not bad. Bell is great too at the road courses. So I think they'll be. I think this weekend has the potential to actually be a pretty good race. I don't think you'll necessarily see SVG just completely run away with it, just because the Trackhouse cars have been a little bit off. But I don't know. We'll have to tune in and watch. Um, well, guys, thank you so much again for your time. Tuning in to another episode of the Burn It Down podcast. Keep your eyes open. We will have our Betcast episode released probably sometime around Thursday, heading into the weekend. So we've been pretty hot on that the last couple weeks. So tune in. Road courses may be a little bit easier to predict. So we should have some good pits for you guys. Hopefully, continue making a little bit of money there on your favorite betting platform there. So, well, until next time, Ross, it was a pleasure as always, and we will see you guys next week to recap Watkins Glen.
See you guys.